Wait a minute. Groovy. And cut!
Oh, hi there. My name is Prostetnik Vogon Jeffs, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the 2024 science fiction drama Spaceman. It's an Adam Sandler flick directed by Johan Renck. Is that how you pronounce it? Anyway, it's the dude who directed the Chernobyl miniseries, and it's based on the book Spaceman of Bohemia by Czech-American author Jaroslav. You know what? I'm not even going to try. It was written by some dude. And though this was a recommendation for my regular Bombgasm series of videos, with the implication being, I think, that it's a real stinker, surprise! I'm not so sure I can agree. Let's get into it. Every now and then in the comments section, someone will ask whether there are any movies that I actually like. No! And while most of the movies coming out these days are absolute trash, like comically bad, there are some out there that I have legit enjoyed and would recommend.
What a twist!
I'm sticking with current year releases for now, but retrospective reviews will probably happen eventually. That being said, please enjoy my first anti-bomb video for the incredibly well-received... Oh, wow. Yikes. Okay, well, for the not-so-well-received Spaceman. Alright. Adam Sandler is Jakub something or other, a Czech cosmonaut on a solo mission to investigate the Chopra Cloud, a mysterious phenomenon located just beyond Jupiter.
This phenomenon has haunted our skies for the past 4 years, and now your images have captivated the world. Truly spectacular.
He's on day 189 of his journey, racing against a competing South Korean team, and beginning to experience the effects of isolation and loneliness. He misses his pregnant wife, Lenka, who is also lonely. She wants a divorce and has recorded a message saying as much.
I have to leave you.
But Commissioner Tuma, fearing for Jacob's state of mind, refuses to send it to the lone cosmonaut.
He's already concerned he hasn't heard from her.
He's not getting this message.
Jakob, using a sleep aid to counteract insomnia, has a nightmare about a spider emerging from within his head. Jakob experiences technical difficulties aboard the ship. The cameras are malfunctioning and a mysterious voice interrupts communications.
Hello?
Hello?
Who do I have here?
Can I help you?
After another night of poor sleep, Jakob wakes to strange noises and finds the ship's pantry has been disturbed. He continues to investigate and is startled when he finds a giant spider hanging out by the toilet. The spider tries to communicate with Jakob.
Do not be afraid.
But the cosmonaut moves to an airlock and tries to disinfect the ship. It doesn't work, and the spider continues to speak with Jakob, who, convinced it's a hallucination, retreats to his bedroom and ups the dosage of his sleep aid. Jakob wakes again and finds the spider still there.
Are you doing this to me?
It seems to be accessing the cosmonaut's memories and professes that Jakob needs help with his relationship.
You go where I go, and I go where you go, right, Spaceman?
Lenka is pulling away, but Jakob doesn't want help, doesn't want to address the memories the spider is pulling from his mind. He returns to his bedroom and tells the spider the area is off limits.
There is a picture of you. You are an honored member of your tribe.
This room is also off limits.
Jakob eventually and reluctantly shares food with the spider and discusses the Chopra Cloud and the origins of the universe. While back on Earth, Commissioner Tuma travels to visit Lenka in an effort to convince her not to abandon her husband. Jakob starts to accept the existence of the spider and names him Hanush after a man who built the astronomical clock in Prague.
I will be called Hanush.
They discuss an opera that Jakob identifies with, and Hanush prods his memories of Lenka and the love they shared at the beginning of their relationship.
This is Rusalka, a water nymph who falls in love with a mortal man, but they can't be together.
You see yourself in the star-crossed lovers.
Jakob continues to resist.
There was so much love? Where did it go?
Please stop doing this to me.
But empathizes with Hanush and lets him use the toilet's malfunctioning vacuum for soothing purposes. Hanush delves into the relationship between Jakob and his father, who was an informant of the state party.
My dad was a good man who did bad things.
He was killed for what he believed in when Jakob was younger. Hanush believes that Jakob is trying to atone for his father's sins.
It's your turn to be a father now.
And that he should instead focus on the present.
You should focus more on the living, skinny human.
On Lenka, who speaks with Commissioner Tuma back on Earth, and receives a gentle lecture on the purpose of relationships.
You know, Lenka, the silence is the point.
What?
Lost, afraid, in the dark, holding on. That is the point.
If Lenka won't protect Jakob, Tuma will. She refuses to send Lenka's message, and disables their communication device to prevent any further attempts. Back on the ship, the Chopra cloud begins causing system malfunctions, and cuts off communications with Control. Hanush continues to push Jakob to reflect on memories, on his neglect for Lenka. He was always more focused on his career, to the point where he abandoned his wife during the miscarriage of their first child.
Show me, skinny human.
I wasn't there.
Broken promises have poisoned Lenka, and Hanush informs Jakob she feels your lies inside of her.
You welcomed her sadness. All these broken pledges, except for the one you made to your great discovery.
Jakob fixes the communication malfunction, but Hanush isn't done with him. He is disgusted by Jakob's self-serving nature, which he believes is self-inflicted. He abandons Jakob, whom he feels cannot be helped.
It is impossible to connect with someone who does not want to see anything but himself.
Jakob tries to restrain him, still thinking only of himself, to no avail. Distressed and alone, Jakob gets drunk. He dreams of Lenka and breaks down, realizing what he has pushed away, trying to hold on to something he now appreciates. He talks with Peter, a technician and friend, and his direct link to Control. He demands Peter help him connect with Lenka, which he does. Jakob pours his soul out to his estranged wife, apologizing for his past actions and wishing he was with her, wishing he could have a second chance. Lenka, still hurt and unsure if she can trust him, doesn't respond. Witnessing Jakob's catharsis, Hanush returns and comforts the lone cosmonaut, who is finally breaking free from his self-centered emotional chains. Hanush also admits that he is dying, being slowly consumed by an alien plague. Despite his impending death, Hanush helps Jakob prepare for their inevitable arrival at the Chopra cloud. Unfortunately, during the final crucial moments of his mission, another malfunction threatens Jakob and the ship. Peter and Control want him to abort the mission, just as Hanush is attacked by the alien plague. Jakob sacrifices himself and the ship, the mission, to try to save his friend. It's ultimately futile, but the moment allows him to forgive his father and himself.
This isn't such a bad place to end things.
With his life quickly fading, Hanush takes Jakob through the Chopra cloud to experience the beginning and the end, to receive enlightenment and self-awareness. In return, Jakob lets Hanush see his memories without restriction. He opens up completely and realizes that he truly wants Lenka. Hanush dies, and Jakob, floating alone within the Chopra cloud, connects through the silence of space with his love. Soon after, Jakob is rescued by the South Korean astronauts and connects with Lenka. Despite being at opposite ends of the solar system, there is hope for their relationship.
If I had known then what I know now, I never would have left. Would you kiss me again?
It was a really good kiss.
The end. I get it. I get why the reviews for this movie are hovering in the mid-50s. It's not for everyone. It's solemn and sedate. It's morose and introspective and often depressing. And it's heavy on subtext and metaphor. Not everyone's cup of tea, for sure. But it's also criminally underappreciated. The performances are subtle but excellent. Adam Sandler proves once again that his strengths actually lie in drama, not comedy. Carey Mulligan, Paul Dano, Kunal Nayyar, and Isabella Rossellini provide complementary and subdued complexity, each emphasizing the themes of loneliness and isolation. Likewise, the direction, both visual and technical, is masterful in its simplicity. It's a film that knows what it's trying to achieve and doesn't try to impress with typical sci-fi gimmicks or flash. And it's unique. I mean, sure, we've seen the themes in other movies, but the way they are handled here is simultaneously simple and complex. It's probably one of the reasons why the review scores are so low. I think the expectation for this movie was that it was some sort of deep space adventure, and not a methodical, introspective analysis of love and sacrifice. An unintentional bait and switch with folks looking for something a bit more bombastic. But man, the world building alone, it's fantastic. This alternate reality of a near-future Czech Republic and the pseudo-futuristic technology that exists within it are beautifully crafted with the same subtlety as the performances. The Czech Connect communications device, the Bomba disinfectant, the antiquated audio and video tech, they fit this world perfectly. I do, however, wish we had spent a bit more time with some of the supporting cast. Peter and Tuma feel underdeveloped, and I really wish we had spent more time with Carey Mulligan's Lenka. But ultimately the story is about Jakob, who had a pretty great character arc, especially when you realize that Hanush is a manifestation of his fear.
Really?
Fear of intimacy, fear of sacrifice. Lenka is perfectly capable of sacrifice, showing no fear when confronted by her tiny spider. It's not a big deal for her. She accepts it, welcomes it. Jakob goes through an entire arc before he is capable of embracing his giant spider. It's a big deal for him. The ship itself and the Chopra cloud, they force Jakob to deal with his problems and are representations of his struggling relationship. The minor malfunctions at the beginning, the annoyances, followed by the breakdown in communications that Jakob is forced to repair, all leading up to the failure of the mission. All of these mounting issues mirror the struggles between Jakob and Lenka. But by sacrificing himself for another, Jakob doesn't fail. The mission doesn't fail. He experiences the Chopra cloud firsthand and finally connects with Lenka in a meaningful way.
Ha! Gay!
Granted, all of this happens at a snail's pace, which I personally did not see as a downside, but I can absolutely see how others might. This wasn't a movie built for streaming audiences. Had this been released 20 years ago, I think it would have been received much better. And this falls back into the bait-and-switch dilemma mentioned previously. For a love story, for an analysis of loneliness and self-sacrifice, the pacing is pretty spot on. For a sci-fi adventure through space, for an audience yearning for thrills and action, not so much.
Disappointed!
It's not a straightforward romp. It doesn't have an easily identifiable antagonist. I mean, it's Jakob, by the way. Well, I mean, it's his selfish nature. But audiences might be inclined to believe it's Hanush or Lenka. But no. And sure, Jakob's selfish nature could have been developed more. It could have been made more black and white. But I liked the way the entire piece resolved itself. I mean, at the end of the day, this is a story about Jakob and his inner turmoil, and how it affects those around him. I like that his relationship isn't 100% fixed. His problems aren't solved, but there's hope. We are shown Jakob's cathartic self-realization and given a glimpse of what could be. If you bought into the premise of the movie and weren't expecting something else, I think it's an extremely satisfying ending. I don't know, maybe I'm just deprived of quality entertainment. Maybe I'm desperate for something different. It's possible that I'll have a completely different outlook on this movie a year from now, but I've watched it 3 times now and enjoyed it more with each viewing. However, like I mentioned earlier in the video, I get it. I completely understand why someone would watch this and not like it one bit. I loved Birdman and Sideways and Transylvania 65000. Some people like Jim Jarmusch movies. I don't, but some people think they're great. F***ing lunatics. To each their own, I suppose. It may have bombed with reviewers and it wasn't a huge hit with general audiences, but I low-key loved this movie. I think it deserves way more credit than it's getting. It's not an action movie and it's not a psychological thriller. It's a movie about a man learning to think about more than just himself. And as a husband and a father, that's something I had to struggle with earlier in my life. I still do.
Do you want to talk about it?
Maybe that's why it resonates with me. And maybe if you've never wrestled with those emotions, it won't hit the mark for you. But that's one of the reasons I think Spaceman is a truly great movie.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.